You can remember a face from like 10 years ago, but the name of someone you just met? Poof, gone. Well, today we're going to dig into exactly why that happens.
Okay, so picture this, and I know you've been here a million times. You're just walking down the street, maybe you're in the grocery store, and you see someone. And right away, your brain just lights up. You know that face. You might even remember the party where you met, what they were wearing, maybe a funny story they told you. That recognition, it's instant. It's totally effortless. And then, boom, it hits you. That dreaded blank space where their name should be. It's just not there. You know, it's right there on the tip of your tongue, but it's completely vanished. So frustrating, right?
So what is going on here? Is your memory just bad? Why does it feel like your brain is playing this cruel little trick on you over and over again?
Well, here's the big twist. This has nothing to do with having a bad memory. At all. In fact, it's a sign that your brain is working exactly the way it was designed to, based on thousands of years of evolution. This isn't a bug, it's a feature. First, let's talk about faces. You got to remember, for our early ancestors who lived in small tribes, recognizing a face wasn't just about being polite. It was literally a matter of life and death. You needed to know in a split second, is this person friend or foe? Are they part of our group or a threat? So to handle this absolutely crucial task, our brains evolved this special piece of hardware. It's called the fusiform face area, and you can think of it like a superpowered processor that's dedicated to just one thing: faces. It's so good that you can recognize someone you haven't seen in years, and it's also why we sometimes see faces in clouds or even in a piece of toast. So yeah, faces are just incredibly sticky for our brains. They're packed with all this rich visual data, plus emotion, plus context. Your brain literally doesn't even have to try to store a face. It just happens automatically and gets filed away deep in your long-term memory. Okay, now let's flip it and talk about names. From your brain's ancient, survival-focused point of view, names are a totally different ballgame. They're a pretty new invention in human history, and honestly, your brain kind of thinks they're useless. Here's the problem. A face gives you immediate information: their mood, a guess at their age, a sense of familiarity. But a name like Bob or Susan is just a random sound, an arbitrary label. It has no built-in meaning, so your brain just doesn't prioritize it. You have to make a conscious effort to store it.
All right, so we've got it. Faces are VIP data, and names, not so much. But the reason for the breakdown gets even more specific when you look at the brain's wiring. It's what you could call the connection problem.
As we just talked about, faces are visual information, so it makes perfect sense that they get stored in the visual parts of your brain. It's a nice, logical filing system. Names, on the other hand, are words. They're pieces of language, so they get filed away in a totally different part of your brain, the language system. I think you can see where this is heading. And this is the crucial part. When you see someone, that face recognition system, it works perfectly, flawlessly. But for your brain to grab the name, it has to build this little bridge from the visual part over to the language part. And guess what? That bridge is often super weak, kind of fragile, and it breaks a lot. So on top of all these biological reasons, there's a big psychological one. And, this one might be a little uncomfortable to admit. Most of the time, the problem isn't that you forgot the name. It's because you never really stored it to begin with. Come on, think about a typical introduction. As someone is saying, "Hi, I'm Aman," what's going on in your head? You're probably thinking, okay, do I look okay? What am I going to say next? Is my smile weird? You hear the name, sure, but you don't actually process it. It just goes in one ear and out the other. It never even gets saved. There's this classic psychology experiment that just perfectly explains how our memory really works. It's called the Baker versus Baker paradox, and it shows us everything we need to know about the power of meaning. So in the study, they showed two groups of people the exact same face. They told the first group, this guy's last name is Baker. They told the second group, this guy is a baker. Later on, who do you think remembered the word baker better? By a long shot, it was the second group. And why? Well, because the job of a baker connects to a whole bunch of stuff in your brain, right? You think of bread, ovens, that amazing smell, maybe a big white hat. But the name baker connects to, well, nothing. And this right here proves the single most important lesson in all of memory science. Your brain doesn't remember things just by repeating them over and over. It remembers things by creating meaningful connections. So, knowing all of this, how can we actually, get better at remembering names?
The secret is to stop fighting against your brain's natural programming and start working with it. You just have to give it the meaning and the connection it's looking for.
So here it is, a super simple 4-step process. First, as soon as you hear the name, repeat it out loud. Nice to meet you, Neha. Just saying it forces your brain to pay attention. Step 2, create a weird visual link, like maybe Neha reminds you of a friend, or you picture her near a giant neon sign. The stranger it is, the more it'll stick. Third, try to use their name again in the conversation. And the most important step, for just 2 seconds, when they're saying their name, actually focus. That's all it takes.
So look, the next time you forget a name, just cut yourself some slack. Your brain didn't fail you. It was just doing exactly what it's been programmed to do for thousands of years, prioritizing the rich, survival-critical data of a face over the abstract, random data of a name. It's a feature, not a bug. Now the real question is, what name are you going to make sure you remember today?